Whoa God, welcome back to the channel. I nearly went in the water then. I got these welly boots about 2 weeks ago and I feel like a child. I haven't had any since I was a kid and they're a massive novelty. I'm just mad to like bounce around in puddles and walk through water in them and just be mind blown about how my feet ain't getting wet. So that novelty has definitely still not worn off. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's going to be another cracking evening. I can feel it already. Get to look at this scene behind me. I'm at a wonderful, wonderful location that's still well within my 10-mile radius. And actually, you can see that lighthouse there quite clearly. Just to the right of the lighthouse, this smaller building, it's actually a hell of a lot bigger than the lighthouse. It's just perspective. That is Heysham Power Station. And that's pretty much right next to where I live. However, you can't like get across here. This is the Lune estuary, the mouth of the River Lune that runs through Lancaster, and because of that I had to kind of come all the way around through Lancaster. It took me about 25 minutes or so to get here in the Red Beast, and you no more than I at the minute, that is a heck of a journey. But yeah, still well within the 10-mile radius. Now in today's video I want to talk a little bit about foreground elements as a compositional tool. It's not something I really talk about a lot, but I was thinking about it on the way here, and I just think that this location is going to be perfectly suited to chat about it. I want to show you how I hunt for foreground elements, how I implement them in my compositions, and how I genuinely really believe understanding just a little bit about how to use foreground can really just improve your compositional skills and your photography ultimately. So I'm buzzing to explain that in today's video. And also the 10-mile radius challenge will be at the end of the video, so stick around for that. It's going to be another cracker this evening, guys. It's going to be another cracker. I can feel it already. Woo! It is stunning, guys. We have not been let down again. There's our beautiful lighthouse. You can see by the golden light, golden side light, and we're well into the golden hour now, and it's about 35 minutes till sunset, so I do need to get a little bit of a wobble on. It is beautiful. So the tide's on its way out, so it's receding back towards the lighthouse, but unfortunately low tide isn't until another hour and a half. And initially I thought that I could come here and get really close to the lighthouse, but it's looking like that's not going to be possible now. It's going to be too dark by the time the tide gets all the way back there, but not to worry. I'm just going to try and work with what we've got, and I'm at the stage now where I'm going to start hunting around for foreground elements. So we've got a real head start here on this location because we know we want that lighthouse in our photograph no matter what. So that's kind of sorted. We don't really have to worry about the background now. All we need to do now is hunt for foreground, and I love saying that because it's like you're hunting for the building blocks of your composition. We've got the background sorted, now let's try and find the foreground. Now there's two main types of foreground, let's say, that I kind of search for. There's plenty more. There's all different types of foreground that you can have, but there's two main ones that I always strive for, and I think they make a real compelling composition, and usually they make for a wonderful photograph. So I've got a decent idea for the first one now, so I'm going to head over there, get myself set up, and I'll talk you guys through it. Whoa, we're set up. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I'll put you guys there. You're actually in the water, so I hope you don't mind getting a bit wet. But I wanted to give you this perspective because it's going to be much easier for me to talk about foreground and everything. Oh, all these waves are coming in here now from that boat that just went past before. And so this is going to be a really nice, pleasant photograph. We're getting some beautiful golden side light from that sun as it dips down there below the horizon. Oh, absolute top draw. So I've got myself in portrait dimension here, and I've got that lighthouse in the top right hand third in the background. Background sorted, done. Now onto the foreground. You can see here we've got this beautiful leading line. Now it's really important for me to say this when we talk about leading lines in landscape photography. That line doesn't always have to be a beautifully perfect straight line. It probably helps, you know, imagine like a real straight road leading up to a set of mountains. As the viewer of that photograph, you can't really get lost. But I mean, look at this, you know, this line's leading nicely up to that lighthouse. It is beautiful and so effective as a foreground element. You know, imagine the person that you're going to see this photograph in a couple of minutes. Your eye is going to probably start down in the foreground somewhere. It's going to go nowhere else. It's going to use the highlights that are from the water here, which is going to be on the right hand side of the frame, and that's just going to naturally lead your eye right up to that lighthouse, to that beautiful subject off there in the background. And there it is, simple as that when we're talking about leading lines, guys. Honestly, it's well easy. We're talking about two elements, foreground, background, and they both complement each other. That's so important, you know. There's no point in just searching around for foreground that doesn't really have any relevance to what's going on in the background. See here, they kind of meet in the middle. The foreground becomes the background eventually. I really hope that makes sense. So settings, I'm shooting this at ISO 100, f13 and 1/15 of a second. I'm shooting at a bit more of a closed aperture just to make sure I get everything nicely in focus. Some of this area at the start of the line, let's call it, is fairly close to the lens, so I want to make sure everything's quite, you know, in focus from the foreground right up to the lighthouse, obviously. I've taken one shot that was at that shutter speed, and then I've done a long exposure that was at about 30 seconds, and I'll probably see which one I prefer. And I'm going to take a landscape orientation shot as well. It's going to be exactly the same concept with the leading line. However, I'm going to position the lighthouse right bang in the center of the frame to give it a bit of oomph, you know. It's going to really allow the lighthouse to take control of the composition. That's leading lines in a nutshell. Super easy yet super effective, and like I said before, can really help to give you a super compelling composition. I hope you like these photographs. Oh, look at this, look at this. Look at the sunset in the background. We've got the beautiful lighthouse there. We're set up there. Unreal. What is going on at the minute, guys? It is unreal conditions after unreal conditions for every video at the minute. I'm absolutely buzzing. Once again, it's just like normal now. Another incredible location, all within the 10-mile radius. This is absolutely class. Right, this photograph that I'm taking now has nothing to do with foreground, let me just be straight with you. However, it is just a stunning scene. You just saw that sunset there. We've got the lighthouse, and then, you know, coincidentally in the background, right off there in the distance towards the Furness Peninsula, beautiful sunset. So in many ways this is very much just a classic sunset photograph. We've got the ND filter on the front. We're capturing a nice, beautiful, smooth, long exposure. It's smoothing out all that water so it's nice and milky down there in the foreground. Absolutely beautiful. A 30-second exposure, if you must know. Oh, I'll probably have the lighthouse kind of like silhouetted, you know, so the sunset can be correctly exposed. It's going to be a really nice, pleasant sunset photograph. I'll show you that image now, and then I'm going to take a third photograph, actually, completely unexpected, and this one's going to be all about the next thing that I look for when I'm trying to search for foreground to improve my compositions and ultimately my photography, like I said at the start. I hope you guys like this shot. Hell of an evening. And again, like I said in my last video, I just don't want to go home yet. This is too nice, it's too serene, it's peaceful. The weather at the minute in the UK, if you're from here, I'm sure you'll agree, has just been class, you know, calm, warm, epic, absolutely epic. So this is it now. The third and final photograph, like the last video as well. We're in the blue hour now, and I've very, very quickly realised that this location is an absolute peach for the blue hour. So next time I return, I will be coming with the intent to shoot a blue hour, and I'll be coming at low tide proper, so we can get closer to that lighthouse. But now we've got the second foreground technique, and yes, you guessed it, reflections. I love shooting reflections, and super effective, you know, to give a satisfying, pleasant photograph. You can't go wrong with reflections, you know. And bearing in mind as well, I've positioned you really low again so that you can see what the crack is where I'm shooting, but bearing in mind we haven't even got like perfect reflections here. Imagine being up in the Lake District or somewhere, or Lochside in Scotland, and it's just an absolute mirror and you've got perfect reflections. You can get some cracking photographs like that. But yeah, this is beautiful. I'm photographing this in a portrait dimension, as you can see there, just like the first photograph, and just centralizing the lighthouse in the frame, so both the lighthouse reflection and obviously the lighthouse itself. And it really, like I said before, it really just gives it a bit of oomph when it's in the middle of the photograph and not placed in one of the intersections when using the rule of thirds or something. It gives a lot of power within the frame. This is stunning, absolutely stunning. One thing that I would like to mention about reflections, in terms of using it as a compositional tool or trying to use them to your advantage, is not always, and this is subjective, I'm not telling you to do this, I'm just trying to, I don't know, give you a bit of advice, or I just think it looks better. Basically, put your horizon line in the dead center of the frame. Usually when you're using the rule of thirds, you have your horizon on the bottom third line or the top third horizontal line. When you're shooting reflections, do it dead center. Think symmetry, and that's pretty much almost exactly what we've got here. I'm shooting at ISO 100, f13 again, because I want to make sure that depth of field is right from foreground to background. And I've got a 30-second exposure, so we're smoothing out that water. Beautiful, and it is the blue hour, but we've got loads of orange sky, orange clouds in the background, and this is another beauty. This is another peach of a photograph. But yeah, that's a good foreground technique. So, in the wise words of a certain Nigel Danson, it doesn't get any better than this. It really doesn't though, does it? Absolute class. You know what, right? It blows my mind that everybody is not mad into landscape photography. Why would you not want this? It is class. Why would you not want to appreciate the intimate, minor, socially considered insignificant details of this world and photograph it? It is amazing. It is the best possible passion I could think of in the world, but of course I am going to say that. I am blessed that landscape photography found me. That sounds really cliche, but yeah. If you haven't guessed, I love landscape photography. Anyway, on to the 10-mile radius challenge, and once again I'm going to start off by saying thank you all for using the hashtag 10-mile radius HT on Instagram. There's tons more photographs than I ever anticipated there would be, and it's probably getting to the stage now where it's quite difficult to choose just 3. But that's what I'm going to continue to do. But yeah, thank you all so much for carrying on with this. Like I've been saying, it's wonderful that you guys are getting involved. Absolute class. So here's the first photograph up here from Aspire Solo Roaming. Beautiful, beautiful image. Actually, coincidentally, has a lot of similarities to the last image that I just took there. Gorgeous, gorgeous reflections. Actually, funnily enough as well, you can see they've put the horizon there pretty much directly in the centre, which goes along nicely with what I just said. And the reason why I chose this is the use of shadows. I absolutely love dark shadows. I always say that, and I love it like this image after the sun's gone down. Again, quite like the last image that I took there. And it's like silhouettes. It just gives this air of mystery about all them shadows. You've got a person in there as well that's giving the image a little bit of scale. And then of course them stunning, stunning reflections. Absolutely beautiful. From memory as well, definitely go and give this person a follow. Give all of these people a follow that I bring up in this 10-mile radius challenge. On this particular image, the caption is absolutely class. It's really long, so I'm not going to stand here and read it out. But yeah, go and give them a follow and read the caption. It's beautiful. On to this next photograph from Tim Van Vessel Photography. Thank you so much for using the hashtag, and I believe this one's from the Netherlands. Beautiful photograph, and the reason why I chose this, apart from it just being a beautiful image to look at, a week or two ago I did a woodland vlog. I did some woodland photography, and I remember one of the things that I said there was, when I take woodland images, I really like to imagine that the person looking at that photograph looks at it and thinks, oh, I'd love to be in that woodland at that moment in time, and that's exactly how I feel about this very photograph. Absolutely, he says here, found this a pretty peaceful scene. Peaceful, serene. I'm going to keep using that word until it stops being serene. Absolutely beautiful. Nice soft light. And he says it amazes me that this place is so close to home and you can get so many different photo opportunities. Sums the 10-mile radius challenge up in a nutshell. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful photograph. I love how the fog creates separation between the foreground tree, let's call it, and that rest of the woodland in the background. Absolutely beautiful. So thank you so much for that that photograph and for using the hashtag. Now this is the last one from Leonardo_Campos_photography, I guess. Absolutely beautiful. I chose this one because to me it's really minimalist photograph. I don't know if this person's gone for that, but I absolutely love it. There's just 3 elements to this photograph. You've got the foreground there, which looks like perhaps rapeseed or something. Just a single tree, centered, gives it a lot of gravity and control within the frame, exactly like I was doing with the Lighthouse. And then just finished off with that beautiful stormy sky in the background. Nice textured sky, absolutely beautiful, yeah. But I just love the minimalist feel to this image and the fact that it's just 3 simple elements. And I really think simplicity, if you're taking photographs that are simple, they haven't got many elements, nice and clean like that one, oftentimes they can be really, really compelling, and they can be a lot more striking than an image that's full of different elements or subjects or whatever. Absolutely beautiful. So thanks again for using the hashtag. I'm going to continue hashtag 10-mile radius HT. and I'll pick 3 more on next week's video on Sunday. Hope you enjoyed today's adventure, guys. It's been another class one, hasn't it, really? We've been blessed with some more beautiful conditions. Thank you all so much for watching. Also, if you're still watching this by now, I don't know. I've started a newsletter. Basically, there'll be a link in the video description below. Just pop your email address in, sign up, and I'll be sending probably like monthly newsletters on anything and everything to do with landscape photography. You know, location, tips, tutorials, tricks, post-processing, or just like chatting about it. I don't know. But yeah, if you want to get involved in that, sign up below. Right, I'm going to get myself home. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Out.